It is less than a week until draft day. What will the Titans do at 7? What's happening, you Titan fans, you Titan bro? We're the Titan bros. What's happening, peeps? We're about to break down some draft stuff. Forgive my technical terms. Hope it didn't go over your head. But we are fixing to talk about pick 7. I ain't worried about the other picks right now. That'll happen when it happens. Maybe we'll briefly talk about the 38th pick when we do our reaction video to pick 7. That's, of course, assuming we do the stick and pick thing. But this video is going to be about nothing other than the 7th pick and what we think we should do, what might happen, maybe some things we're not so happy about. I don't know. But we'll discuss it all right here. Don't go anywhere. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe because we need likes. We need subscribers. So please like and subscribe. Sorry, I was never much of a salesperson. So that's the best I got.
I think, but before we start this video, I think what you said makes sense. I think we should make a recap for the first round. I think a recap for the second round, even if it's short, because like we said, the second round is almost the first round. So there's value in that pick for sure.
Yeah.
So we might make a video with that. And then I think after that, we're going to make another video that recaps the draft as a whole. Does that make sense?
And like basically like go over some grades of each player and then just like a grade overall.
Yeah. Does that sound solid to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, so today we will be talking about what, Mr. Gabriel?
We're going to talk about pick 7. Let's think how I want to do this. Let's just go ahead and just jump right into this. What pick do you want? If your general manager, Rand Carthon, and the board falls just as you want it. And that's one thing I will say. We're going to operate entirely this entire video as if none of the quarterbacks obviously are in play. Hopefully not. And Marvin Harrison Jr. will not be there. But there's no way he's going to fall all the way to 7. So we'll operate that way. And yeah, so if you were GM Josiah, GM Pilcher, what would you do with pick number 7, assuming the quarterbacks and Marvin Harrison Jr. are gone?
If I was the GM, I would look and notice that the last 2 years, we probably had, I don't know exactly, but I'm going to say probably bottom 5 tackle, left tackle in the last 2 seasons. It wrecked our offenses. It prevented Derrick Henry from completely going off. It prevented our passing game to ever get, started. It was a mess. It was a disaster. We have to fix that. So I think to me, and sometimes, I was watching the Titan fan talking, and it said sometimes you want flashy, but sometimes when the guy, it just makes too much sense. I say you go Joe Althill and just solidify where you get a bona fide starter day one, a tackle that hopefully you can have for 10 years at least, maybe make a Pro Bowl or 2. I sign me up for that. We got Peter Skoronski beside him. That sounds, I don't want to be completely old school when I say this, but it's still true. I think even in the past game, offensive line is unbelievably important. So let's solidify that and get ourselves drilled. I'd be pretty excited for that.
Mike Vrabel would also be excited about it. He loved linemen and defensive players.
He did. He would be. And I know when I was saying this, like, oh, it sounds like I'm going back to that. But I think even in a passing game, you got to protect your quarterback. So, I
agree.
think offensive line, there's no taking away how important offensive line is, no matter what your offensive scheme is.
Yeah, I was thinking about Mike Vrabel and who was drafted under him. Obviously, he didn't make the actual selection, but who was drafted under him through his years? Listen to this. He loves defense and trenches. 2018, his first year, middle linebacker. 2019, Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle. Then 2020, that's when we went in the trenches with Isaiah Wilson. Then in 2021, defense, Caleb Farley. 2022, we had to go with Burks because we just traded A.J. Brown away. And then last year, Peter Skronsky, another offensive line. So literally every pick was either on the offensive line or just defense.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? Who knows? We really did get to, I remember I said this a couple videos ago. We had really learned J-Rob / Vrabel, that era, what they like, their patterns. Like we could make good predictions on what we thought would happen. With Ray Carthon, Peter Skronsky, let's be honest, for me, he wasn't on my radar. I really thought there's a lot. I think they really like the Ohio kid. What was that guy's name? He went to the Seahawks. The wide receiver. He had a weird name.
Yeah, he was pretty good, wasn't he?
Jackson Smith and Jigba. He only ended up with like 500 yards.
Yeah.
So for being the first wide receiver off the board, 500 is not great. But there was talk that we were going to get him. Paris Johnson Jr. was the big one at tackle because we had a tackle need, obviously. But we went Skronsky. So it was a little bit of a surprise. But where was I going with that? I just started talking about Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You just made your pick on O-line. I said, he said, so like a Vrabel thing. I said, yeah, he would be proud. He'd be happy. But, my heart says if you have a receiver like Malik Neighbors on the board who could get you 1,500 yards a year and just be explosive, you got to take that guy in this today's age. So my heart tells me. But my mind just says Joe Alt is by far the left tackle, or by far the best tackle in this draft. He's also a left tackle, which we'll talk about some of that stuff later on. He's a left tackle. And when it's a position of need and he's the best at it, if he's there, you just have to take him. You just have to. Plus, right now, Jalen Duncan is our starting left tackle. So if we miss out on Joe Alt, and then suddenly a lot of tackles go mid first round, late first round, and pick 38 gets there, there's no more good left tackles available. What are we even going to be able to do?
I agree. That was basically my thought process.
See, it sounds like a bit of an oversimplification, but literally the reason our offensive line, or not our offensive line, but our offense was so awful the last 2 years. There's no holes for the running game. So anytime Derrick Henry gets the ball, immediately tackled. And every single time it's 3rd and 6 or longer,
will be a sack.
It'll snap the ball, step back, immediately cover up, and just go down. And that's just what it was. Didn't matter if it was Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill, even Malik Willis. Malik Willis will at least run around a little bit. Never throw it, though, or scramble. He likes to just run circles in the backfield. Not sure why he would do that. But but anyways, we're not going to get on that. But it didn't matter which quarterback we had. As soon as they snapped it, they're just going to get sacked. So it doesn't we have to address left tackle. And it's one situations where I've gone back and forth and thought maybe we do go Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze at pick 7. And it's a deep tackle class, very deep. So you could find somebody good starter material in the second round. But then I stop and think, but in the second round, you're taking a little bit of a chance. So when you're taking a little bit of a chance, then suddenly we have Nicholas Petit-Frere at right tackle, and then a second round rookie that you're taking a chance that might end up being awful again. So then it doesn't matter how good Brunskill, Lloyd Cushenberry, and Skronsky. It doesn't matter how good those three might do in the middle. If your tackle play ends up poor again, then we're right back where we was. Because that's where most of the sacks happened. Sometimes Brewer would get bull rushed and you get a sack, but most of the time it was off the tackle spots. And I'm just like,
yeah. And the thing is, we've done that for 2 years now, and it's been painful to watch. I think, me personally, I just think it's time to fix it. It is time. We can't just ignore it for another season, in my opinion. I think it's time to really take a long, hard look at this position and finally fix it. And I think Joe Alt's the best way to do that.
And it's not just that, but he's polished. He's like Peter Skronsky, but at tackle. Where like people with Peter Skronsky, no one ever said, "Oh, we don't know exactly how this is going to transition to the NFL. Maybe he needs this ironed out. He's got some technique issues, but good NFL coaching will get him where he needs." No, they're like, "Oh, the thing about him, Peter Skronsky, he's just a plug and play guy. You draft him, he's immediately assumes the day one starter role, and you don't have to worry about him too much."
Which is basically what happened.
And Joe Alt's the same way, but at left tackle, which again, like we just said several times, has been our worst position on our entire team.
I'm like
2
Dennis
years running.
Daly. I'm like Dennis Daly. He's so awful. You know, Dillon can't help but be better than him, and he was just as bad. So yeah, I don't know
And then
how.
Duncan was technically worse than Dillard. Duncan gave up more sacks and less starts. I don't know where we're finding these guys. It's awful. I think my 32-year-old, 180-pound butt could block better than they do. Nothing else, I'd dive at the kneecap, see if I can hurt them. But but yeah, it's bad. It's very bad. So Joe Alt, it has to be. If we walk up there and pick Joe Alt, Notre Dame, Tennessee Titans left tackle, I would give it an A+. There's no other grade I could give it but an A+.
To me, you know, something that's very important is an offensive line. But if you got Joe Alt, Peter Skoronski, Cushenberry, is it Lloyd Cushenberry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lloyd Cushenberry, Daniel Brunskill, who wasn't awful. He's not terrible. He's not great.
Not until he got hurt.
Terrible.
Once he got hurt, he kind of dipped a bit.
Daniel Brunskill, and now the right tackle might be a weakness, but if you all of a sudden had a horrible offensive line last year, to an offensive line, you have one hole, that's a huge fix in one offseason. And I'd be perfectly okay with that. Because I said this in a couple of videos past, but if you have only one spot that's bad, it's easier to focus on that, easier to have a chip block, easier to just like this is where that pressure is going to come from right here. It's easy to focus on that and help out in that, because last year everyone sucked basically besides Skoronski, you know. So it's like, what do? You don't know where it's going to come from, you know. If we only stuck at one position to right tackle, it's easier to know what side needs help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's when you do it. Kind of like, I remember one year, this is, I think, might have been 2021, maybe. Our right tackle was Quesenberry. Remember Quesenberry?
Yeah.
He was by far our worst offensive lineman that year, but we all knew he was our worst offensive lineman. He got a lot of chip help or just plays that were designed to roll to the left and just things like that to alleviate pressure. Now, when the whole offensive line's bad, you're just screwed.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying, yeah.
So, yeah, I would agree with you. If NPF, if he was our starting right tackle and you just knew that's where he was going to play and where he was going to be, you knew he was going to be your worst offensive lineman, then you could chip help with, you know, Josh Wiley chip and just whatever else.
Yep, I agree.
Or Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are actually both decent at pass protection, so you can just slide them over to the right to make sure they're keeping an eye on the edge rusher.
Again, so I'm still thinking. Then all of a sudden, Will Levis might have some time. If you have Joe Alt who can hold his own one-on-ones, you have Peter Skoronski hopefully can hold his own one-on-ones. You got Lloyd Cushenberry that can hold his own one-on-ones. Daniel Brunskill is decent, and then you can always slide help chip on the right side for tackle. I'm like, okay, now all of a sudden, Will Levis might have some time here.
Yeah, I agree.
Which we're not used to having quarterbacks have time.
And D-Hop and Calvin Ridley will be able to cook if they have time.
Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind another receiver here because we don't know how long D-Hop is going to be for us. It's going to be with us. But I think Joe Alt's the better choice here. Now, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind going receiver in the second round. But I just think, for right now, our receivers are okay. Like, if we ignore the receiver, we're okay for now. If we ignore the tackle, we're not okay.
I agree. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. But if we don't go wide receiver in the first round, I'm almost okay not going in the second round either. Okay. I would say, why do you say that?
Why do you say that?
I feel like if we do that, we get like a Ricky Pearsall or somebody like that, or a Ladd McConkey or someone like that in the second round at wide receiver. And then next year, DeAndre Hopkins walks, and we can assume Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks are still garbage. Then suddenly you're hoping a second round wide receiver is able to make the jump in his second year. And Calvin Ridley, those being our top two wide receivers, suddenly that kind of puts a shaky plan in place unless we plan on going after somebody else in free agency.
Well, it's going to be another offseason of free agency / draft if we want to throw someone else, though.
I mean, yeah.
Because we're going to have more money. You know,
we're going to have a lot more money.
We didn't sink all of our money, which is also exciting. You know, it's not like, well, this is all what we did with our money. We're out of money, but hopefully this is good enough. I think our team got a lot better, but we still have money to use next offseason. So I think next offseason should still be entertaining and building this team.
I agree, and I'm sure you heard the news that T. Higgins was at a camp. He runs a little camp over there in Cincinnati. I'm assuming it's in Cincinnati. And he said he foresees himself playing with the Bengals this year. And if that happens, he's just straight up a free agent next year. So it's very possible that next year we do try to go after T. Higgins. And then we'd have T. Higgins and Calvin Ridley.
I will say I am curious to let's keep an eye on see what he looks like this year, because T. Higgins didn't have his best year this year or last year, however you want to say it.
He was hurt a lot.
And I'm one to say, well, it's just 1 year, so I think he's still good. But if, to say this upcoming year, he struggles or doesn't play as well, then it's more of a red flag. Do we want to sink a lot of money into him? But so if nothing else, at least we might get another year to see, okay, that was just a down year. Hopefully he'll come back and play well, and then I would feel more confident in bringing him in, because he's probably going to be expensive. I want to say that.
Yeah, probably. Especially since this year would have been the cheapest you'll get him coming off a down year.
Yeah.
But if he has a bounce back year, then yeah, he'll be even more moolah next year.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I was about to say more stuff about that. I'm like, well, this is getting off topic anyway.
Yeah, because we're talking draft here. Joe Alt, as we both said we should do, and we both give an A+ grade to. My very next person that I would be okay with would be the Malik Neighbors, because that will be the most talented wide receiver we possibly have ever drafted. Like, I don't think Corey Davis wasn't able to do any testing or anything because he was nursing an ankle. So we took a pick on the best wide receiver who we thought would be in that draft, but he didn't have this kind of elite traits.
Yeah.
AJ Brown technically slipped all the way to second. I think people just thought he wasn't going to be fast enough to be in the NFL, which obviously it's a big miss by the entire NFL. But if we were to go after Malik Neighbors, that would be a playmaker.
Yeah, I'll say this. Joe Alt is who I want. And if we get Malik Neighbors, I would be really scared for Will Levis. I would be still like, oh, this offense is bad. But Malik Neighbors is good enough where I would still be excited. I would still be like, okay, that's still a good player on our team that I hope, can really make this offense more explosive.
Yeah, he would be another for me. He'd be in my A tier as well. And I have one more person in my A tier that barely makes it, and that's Rome Odunze. Most people's, just basically have Marvin Harrison Jr. as 1A, Malik Neighbors 1B, and then number 2/3 is Rome Odunze. But then after Rome Odunze, there's pretty sizable drop off. I would still go A-, because if we still stick and pick, like if say Neighbors and Alt are both gone, and we stick and pick at 7, and we've got Rome Odunze, I would much rather get Rome Odunze at 7, who should still be a really solid wide receiver. He had like 1,500 yards last year.
Who did he play for?
Washington.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Seems like a good dude too if you listen to him in his interviews. But I would rather do that than reach on Olu Fashanu, because I feel like 7's a big old reach for Olu Fashanu.
Yeah.
Because he has small hands, which I didn't think is that big of a deal. Because he has small hands, he's been just plummeting down like mock draft boards. He's like falling all the way down to like 12, 13, 15, somewhere in there. So if we stick and pick Olu at 7, that's a reach to me.
That's a reach, yeah. Yeah, if we have to, if Joe Alt's not there, I actually say receiver, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, that's basically what I was getting at. Joe Alt needs to be the pick, but if Joe Alt's gone, one of those wide receivers.
So here's a question. Would you be willing to trade down? Not up. I don't really want to trade up because, like you said, first 4 picks of quarterbacks, stick 7's high enough. Would there be any situation you want to trade down, even if it just trade down to pick 11, pick 12, or not really?
I feel like I would be okay with a trade down if only 3 quarterbacks go. So, like, just say number 1, 2, 3 goes Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Those 3 go 1, 2, 3. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes 4. Let's just say Malik Neighbors goes 5 to the Chargers. And then number 6, Malik Neighbors goes. So suddenly Joe Alt's gone. Malik Neighbors is gone. And if we're not sold on Rome Odunze, I would still pick Rome Odunze there. But if for whatever reason we're not sold on Rome Odunze,
Bro, here's another thing. say. I have to look at the board to know for sure. But you could maybe trade back to 11, 12 and still get him.
Maybe. I feel like Rome Odunze's not making it out of the top 10. I would say 8 or 9 is probably where he would go.
I will say this though. Do you know what this draft has shown me? The offense is the name of the game. What are we talking about? Tackles, receivers, and quarterbacks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Defense is just not getting picked up.
Which that's one position I will go ahead and briefly discuss with you is Dallas Turner. A lot of people saying the best defensive player in the draft is going to be right there waiting for us if we want him. Dallas Turner, the edge. I don't know. I don't feel like that's something we need to do.
This is what I say. I think, and this might not be fair for Turner, but I think if we get a top receiver with a Malik Nabels, I think that could equal another win or so. Maybe him having a going off of a 150-yard game or something. If we get Joe Alt, that could give Will Levis more time and helps the run blocking. I think that can equal a win or so. But I don't know why. Just getting an edge rush when it's not our most dialed position, I just don't know if that really flips the needle into making us more another win or so. You know what I mean? I think Joe Alt and Malik Nabels, those two can be like, okay, that could help us win this division, help us win another game. But just, I don't know, as Mr. Turner, I'm like, I don't see that making me feel any different about my team.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think 2025 edge needs to be a big, Arden Key doesn't need to keep starting, in my opinion. So I'd say in 2025, edge needs to be something we really try to get after, kind of like right tackle. Because again, I said this already, Dylan Radins, Daniel Brunskill, and Sadiq Charles, all three will be free agents next year. So right guard, and edge rusher needs to be a priority in 2025. You can't fix all your issues in 1 year.
No, you can't, because we had a bunch of issues.
So yeah, I agree. As far as the trade back, I would only be okay if it's not way back. Like if we're able to trade back to 11 or something like that. And then that's where I would be okay with an Olu Fashanu.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Would I rather Joe Alt than him? Heck yeah. But if you can say you can get a left tackle at pick 11, 12, but then we get some stuff out of that, then I'm like, okay, that's actually a pretty decent trade, I think. Because I think he can be a good starter. So we could get him at 11, 12, but then, what do you think teams would give up for that? Some people go crazy going up a couple of spots if they think they get the guy. I think we at least could give ourselves another. What was it? A third round we don't have. Wouldn't you say? Don't you think we at least could get a third round or something else?
I don't see them getting this desperate, but I've seen mocks that have the Vikings who have pick number 11 and 23 in the first round.
Yeah,
pairing those together, move up to 7, get whatever quarterback they got their heart set on. If we were to do that and get Olu Fashanu at number 11, and then
have a 23rd pick,
20 and go Adonai or AD Mitchell, as they call him, the wide receiver, his stock's really been rising. So go get him, and then 38. Then I would be okay with an edge rusher at 38.
What about? Yeah, that's
or a right tackle. If there's another right tackle,
because I'm still thinking, okay, if we could get ourselves a left tackle in 11, wide receiver at 23rd, and then
a right tackle
at 38. I'm like, wow, this offense just got really beefed up though.
Yeah,
that would be exciting. Again, this is all speculation. The Vikings doing this is all speculation. But man, if they did that, I would like that. I think Titans would have won the draft if we do that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Man, I have to watch some tape if we did that on Mitchell, and how much of a playmaker do I think he will be? Like you said, because I feel like after what's the guy from Washington?
Rome Odunze.
Yeah, I feel like most people will say after him's a drop off. You said this earlier in that video, but I think after him, everyone says the next receiver is a little bit of a drop off. So at pick 23, I don't know. He's not going to be probably a 1,500-yard receiver, but we don't have to have one, not yet at least.
Originally, AD Mitchell was probably going to be a early second round guy, but he's been rising, where he's going to go late first to mid first. He's 6'2", 205. Let's see if they have his. Yeah, he ran a 4.34. So he had, I think that's a little faster than folk were assuming. So he's almost 6'3", running a 4.34. That's good, very good.
Yeah. Anyway, that would be a great situation.
That
But
would
again,
be a great
at
situation.
the moment, assuming we ain't do no trades and stuff, Joe Alt is the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Alt.
Well, okay, here's a question though. Okay, this is all hypothetical. Would you do that trade if Joe Alt was still on the board, but to go 11, still get a left tackle and get a receiver? That's a tough one for me. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one because I really feel like Olu Fashanu, it's like 50-50. He's either going to be good, he's just going to be another awful left tackle that dies in Tennessee. But then Joe Alt, he's like, he will be good. But then getting another first round, or if at worst, like a second round pick, extra second round pick out of him, I don't know.
That's a tough one. Part of me was saying yes, but then like you said, then I'm like, but Joe Alt is such almost anyone you talk to would be like, yes, he'll get drafted and start day one. And that is a good thing to have.
At left tackle, it's hard to find an automatic left tackle. So in the end, I feel like you just have to stop overthinking. And if Joe Alt's there at 7, you walk over and you give him the card, say, I want Joe Alt. Unless someone does something stupid.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, we'll give you our first round, like say like for picking 13 or something. We'll give you our first round this year. We'll give you our first round next year. We'll give you a second round this year and a fourth next year. If someone does something like that, you're like, we have to take that.
Once in a while, you'll find a desperate team just do something stupid like that. But normally, when a team does that, is to get a quarterback. Normally,
yeah.
Most of the time a team's not going to do that to get a tackle or something like that. Most of the time if they do that, they'll get themselves a quarterback.
Which is possible. Like someone like J.J. McCarthy, some people are saying he might go number 4. Someone might trade up to number 4 to get him. But if that doesn't happen, then yes, and he's still sitting there at 7, then it's very possible someone could be calling. So, is there anything else you want to add?
Just give me 1 second.
All right.
Like I know the Broncos, there's a lot of saying that Sean Payton's really interested in J.J. McCarthy. Well, they'll pick in 12. So he's probably not going to be around at 12. So what if the Broncos / Sean Payton gets desperate now and like, let's go
Which
to 7.
They might, because 11 is the Vikings. The Vikings need a quarterback. They have Sam Darnold right now as their starter.
Hopefully the Vikings and Broncos can kind of fight over, like, oh, I got to get 7. No, I got to get 7. Or, that would be a good situation for us.
It's what Randy Carthon should do. If if the Vikings call and ask to trade up, they'd be like, let me make a call real quick. Call Sean Payton, like, hey Sean, so the Vikings are trying to move up to 7 to get a quarterback, probably J.J. McCarthy. Here's what they offered. Like, you could offer this and sweeten the pot a little bit, So I don't know.
But again, the trade stuff is also we don't know. So for what we do know, we have pick 7. That's what we know. Joe Alt. I think we're both in agreement because sometimes we don't always agree, but we agree on this, I say.
Yeah.
I can tell it pains you just a smidge because you want that flashy receiver, but you're going safe.
It's one of the situations where we're hopefully, we won't be picking this high in a long time. And it's like wide receivers like Malik Neighbors, they're just not going to be falling to you if we're picking at like pick 17 or something.
Yeah. And I would say this. If we do just, let's say we pick in 7 or 8 or something like that next year, Will Levis probably needs to go. If that's just my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Because if we're picking at 7 or 8, that means we had a bad season. And we had a bad season with what I think would be an improved receiver core, would be an improved offensive line, and we're still
improved cornerbacks.
Yeah. The only way I say this is not true is if our offense is like a top 10 and our defense is ranked 25 or something. We're losing because of that. Maybe in that situation, but I don't see our defense being like that with all additions that we have. But anyway, we should.
I agree. So,
but I guess
go ahead.
If let's say we get Joel, let's just say we do. One thing I do like that we did is that we gave Will Levis, to me, a good enough offense to really say, is he the guy or not? Because a lot of times, one reason it took us so long with Marcus Mariota because we never gave him any help. So you're like, is it a help? Does he need help? Is he not the guy? But Will Levis,
there for a couple of years, Rashard Matthews was our starting number 1 wide receiver.
Which was just embarrassing. But I'm like, so our offensive line is good enough, I think, if we get Joe Alt. Receiving core it's good enough, in my opinion. We have decent running backs. So if Will Levis can't do it this year, to me, that's like, okay, he's not the guy, in my opinion. And I like that. So good job on Carthon.
Yeah, that's it. Because you got to figure it out sooner rather than later. Because we don't have a 5th-year option on this guy because he's a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just had to get that out.
Oh, you're good. So, anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Nope.
Nope.
All right. Next time you hear from us, it'll be recapping what the Titans did at 7, unless we trained back. Otherwise, next time you hear from us, it'll be a nice. Actually, regardless, next time you hear from us, it'll be a 1st-round reaction. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be exciting. Hopefully, it will be exciting. Hopefully, it'll be exciting. And my computer just says battery saver's on. Consider plugging in your device. Sounds like we're ending this at the perfect time. So we'll be sure to catch y'all in the next video. Hopefully, we'll all be pumped and excited. So tighten up, peace out, and all that jazz.